One thing to note though, and it's arguably the only reason I'm making this video, is for this right here. That first school is what really drew me in. I said, wait a minute, Georgia? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you had a great Friday. Hope all of you had a great week. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, your boy, Cormani McClain, he is back in the news. And we have a new update on him. And let's just say it's a rather interesting one. There's some new developments going on with his situation. And as we all know, this is arguably, if not the most intriguing topic in all of college football currently. What's really fascinating about his situation, and it's what has everybody, including myself, so captivated by all this, is it seems like we might be witnessing the beginning of this young man's downfall. With that being said, let me get one thing straight here. I am not praying on or wishing on Cormani McClain's downfall whatsoever. No way. I hope he succeeds. We'll talk more about that later in this video. Stay tuned for that. Continuing along here though, let me give you a brief recap. If you don't know what's going on, you gotta be living under a rock. Coming out of high school, this young man you're looking at right here, he was a 5-star recruit, one of the best players in all of college football. He had this huge recruiting process, winds up flipping from Miami to go to no other than Colorado and team up with Deion Sanders. At first glance, seemed like it was going to be a pretty good fit because Colorado already had a great defensive back there at the time that goes by the name of Travis Hunter. Y'all know him, no introduction needed. So it looked like you was going to have Hunter on one side of the field and McClain on the other, lockdown corners. However, as we all know, things didn't go according to the plan. McClain, he wasn't showing up to classes, he was late to meetings, wasn't putting in the work on the field. It was a big mess. And yeah, I summed it up as quick as I could without skipping out on any major details. That's all you really need to know. Oh yeah, Matt, you idiot. Sorry, my apologies. I didn't even throw this in there. The last time we left off with Cormani was news was coming out that these schools, they were backing off on him and they were reluctant, quote unquote, I'll show it to you right here, to pursue him because of everything that has led up until this point. It was being stated by some sources that all these colleges out here, they view Cormani as quote-unquote immature. That is where we officially last left off with Cormani and his recruitment process. In other terms, here to dumb things down even more, schools aren't going after him, or let me rephrase that, your big-time schools aren't going after him because of immaturity problems and character concerns. For the people out here trying to argue this and say, well, Matt, how do these other schools know he's immature? How do they know he has character flaws and concerns if they weren't around him at Colorado? And that's a really good question, my friend, but I have an even better answer. The reason these schools think he's immature is because right after he entered the transfer portal, he posted a video on YouTube throwing shade at Deion Sanders in Colorado. He said it himself, I don't want to play for the clicks and views. I want to play for a real great football program.
I'm just ready to bring the old version of me out and change the narrative of everyone's thinking on my name. Be a part of a real and a great program that's going to impact me at my best ability. I feel like I just don't want to play for clicks. I actually want to be involved with a great leading program.
I'm trying not to get too rallied up here. We will also come back to that later in this video, so stay tuned because it comes back into play. After we did the most recent update on Cormani, in the comment section, one trend I noticed is there was a bunch of you stating he was also hiding in the bathroom to get out of workouts. I have no idea if that's true or not because this is the first time I'm hearing about it. As most of you know on this channel and in our community, we like to crack jokes just as much as anybody else. But I didn't get the vibes that y'all were joking when I was reading some of these comments. Y'all seem dead serious. So if that is true, it's just another thing to add to the list about Cormani where it's hard to feel bad for him. To go on top of that, I also saw some other comments stating apparently and allegedly his high school coach has stated he has character concerns as well. Oh, here it is. Here's one of the comments. Cormani's high school coach has said that Cormani was hard to deal with in high school and said Coach Sanders could be good for him because he wasn't going to take any of his crap and keep him in check. That's two different coaches, high school and college, that has mentioned a personality conflict with him. What about that? Major shout out to each and every single one of you that's commented on the videos relaying some of this new information because I haven't heard anything about it. Like I said, it's my first time hearing that he was hiding in the freaking bathroom to avoid workouts, and his high school coach has also expressed some concerns with him. So I can't sit up here and say it's 100% true. However, I don't find it too hard to believe. Why? Because of pattern recognition. Let me give you an example. Put this into a better perspective so people like me and you can relate. If I have a buddy, we'll call him Joe, and let's say Joe, he robs me not once, but twice. He steals money from me. The first time Joe robbed me, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Second time, I cut him off. We're no longer friends. Well, let's say, theoretically speaking, one of my other buddies calls me. His name is Chase. He says, "Yo, Matt, can you believe this? Joe robbed me the other day." Yeah. As a matter of fact, Chase, I can believe it because Joe's robbed me before. I don't need my friend Chase to send me proof, video footage of Joe robbing him because he's done it already. I can believe it. It's the same thing here. I don't need proof that Cormani was hiding in the bathrooms for me myself to believe it. Maybe you don't believe it, but to each their own. Do what you want with the information. We're getting a little sidetracked here. I do apologize, but there's just a lot going on with this situation. Let's move on to what has happened in the past couple of days. Recently, while he's in the portal and in the midst of all this, Cormani has signed to an NIL company, I believe, that goes by the name of Disruptive Sports. I can only assume this is to help him get NIL deals, and he also has an agent, which to me, and maybe I'm highly uninformed on all this, it's head scratching. Why is it head scratching, you may ask? Okay, that's a fair question, but here's my question. Why does Cormani need an agent? In his caption, he states, by the way, he turned off the comment section. Do as you please with that information as well. Excited to share that I've officially signed with Disruptive Sports. This will allow me to focus 100% of my time and energy on football. I'm ready for the next chapter of my life. But let's go back to this sentence. This will allow me to focus 100% of my time and energy on football. My brother, what was you doing before? I can't be the only one who thinks that, right? Why wasn't 100% of your quote-unquote time, energy, and focus on football before signing the NIL deal? Or not an NIL deal, my apologies. He's signing to an agency that is going to potentially get him NIL deals. This isn't the greatest example in the world, but it's the same principle. You should get the point. It's like getting a financial advisor when you have $8 in your bank account. You don't even need one. You haven't done anything to get to the level where you need an advisor. In this case and scenario, an agent. I digress, and if you think that's a big time update, no, we still got a lot to talk about and go over. I had a few people sending me this. These are tweets from his mother. On 4/16/24, so a few weeks ago, she posted, "Gotta be somewhere where you're appreciated and not just tolerated." 3 exclamation points. "God take the lead, we ride behind you." Referring to what went down at Colorado. 2 days after that, Cormani has no one working under him or for him. He and I will be contacting the coaches directly. I'll touch on that in just a second. Thankful for all opportunities, and to Deion Sanders and the Buff Nation, you guys are still appreciated no matter what. No lost love here, God bless. Okay, well here's my one big question. Why are you going to be contacting the coaches with Cormani? This is his career. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for parents being in their kids' lives, but sometimes you gotta let them go on journeys by themselves. This is one of those things where I think she should take a step back, and maybe this is a problem with Cormani because she seems like one of those hype men, a yes man. I don't know anything about his mom outside these 2 tweets she's posted, but if she's anything like 98% of moms out there, she's probably patting him on the back and telling him, "Oh yeah, it's not your fault, Cormani. It's Colorado's fault. It's Deion's fault. It's never Cormani's fault." If I had to take a wild guess here, this is the root of his problem. I don't know if his father's in his life. I don't know that situation. But he needs a mentor. I've said it in the past couple of videos. I've said it for the past couple of weeks. And while things are in danger territory, is if Deion Sanders couldn't be that father figure for you, he couldn't be that mentor that Deion wanted and tried to be for you, I don't know if anybody can. She wound up quote tweeting this though, and it caught my attention. "Thankful to each and every coach that has reached down and gave him another opportunity. God is good." The tweet she's referencing here states, "Former Colorado cornerback Cormani McClain, a 5-star recruit in the 2023 class, 14 overall, is taking his time with the transfer portal process, but is receiving significant interest from programs in the SEC, Big 10, and Big 12. His agent, Hector," and blah, 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 tells ESPN. One thing to note, though, and it's arguably the only reason I'm making this video, is for this right here. It's being stated in articles, McClain has received interest from at least 11 major schools from coast to coast, including Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, USC, and Oregon. There are 2 Florida schools in the mix with UCF and USF both on the list. That first school is what really drew me in. I said, wait a minute, Georgia? Cormani McClain potentially teaming up with Kirby Smart at Georgia? I gotta find out some more information about this. So I put on my investigator hat, Detective Matt in the building, and I called up one of my buddies that is associated with the Georgia football program. Fortunately enough, most of my sources, if not all my sources, are in the Southeast, and Georgia just so happens to be in the Southeast. To give you some more context on this buddy of mine, he's going to every single Georgia practice in the offseason, during the offseason. He's one of those media guys. I called him up yesterday around 3 or 4 p.m. I said, hey man, I got a question for you if you don't mind answering. He said, sure, go ahead. I said, can you find out anything, I just mean anything whatsoever, about Cormani McClain potentially going to your school, Georgia? He told me word for word, I haven't heard anything about it, but I'll ask around, see what I can find out. End of conversation. I said, thanks, man. Just get back to me in an hour or two. He proceeds to call me back yesterday and says, hey, man, I found out some things you might want to hear. He straight up told me in his words, although I didn't talk to Kirby Smart directly, everyone I did talk to, they had no knowledge of this, and they don't think we're going after Cormani. I said, oh, okay, I was just kind of curious. And he said, wow, well, why are you asking? I said, well, there's some reports coming out saying y'all are going after him. And he said, yeah, well, don't think too much of those. Reports come out every day. It doesn't mean they're true. And he's 100% right on that. Everything you see on the internet, not true. Before we ended off the conversation, though, I did ask him, what's the percentage of a chance that you think Kirby Smart might be going after Cormani if you just had to give me a number? And he said, I can't say 0, so I'll say 1% chance. That was really the end all be all for that. But me personally, I think I told you guys this a couple videos ago. The chances of a big time school like Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, any of the big time schools going after Cormani is close to 0. I'm going to tell you what I believe. I believe there's not even a 1% chance. I believe there's 0, not even 0.1. There is 0% of a chance that Georgia is actively recruiting Cormani McClain. There's no way. But going back to this list here, there's 3 other SEC schools on this list. Oklahoma, Texas, and LSU, all arguably top 15 teams. To tell you the truth, I don't believe those either. You thought Coach Prime was hard on you at Colorado? BV, which is Brent Venables, head coach at Oklahoma, he's going to be harder on you. And same thing with Brian Kelly at LSU and Steve Sarkisian at Texas. I don't believe it. Don't care what any of these articles say. And let's talk about this. You couldn't even get on the field at Colorado. They had the worst defense in the nation last year. Why would I believe for a split second schools like Georgia and Texas are recruiting you? I mean, come on now. What are we talking about here? It's ridiculous. And let's just say they were recruiting him and he ended up at we'll say Texas or LSU. He ain't getting on the field. And you can say, well, Matt, you're hating on him now. I'm not hating. It's just reality. If you couldn't get on the field for the worst defense in the nation, why would I believe for a split second you're going to get on the field at a college football national championship contender school like Texas or LSU? I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section. What do you think about it? As to where it stands right now, the only 2 schools I know for a fact are interested in them are USF and UCF. Remember, he was originally committed to Miami before he switched over to Colorado. With the way things ended there, though, I'd be pretty shocked if Miami goes after him. If I had to give you my best educated guess where things stand right now on May 3rd, 2024, I would say more than likely he's going to end up at one of your smaller schools like a USF or UCF. Those schools are going to be more willingly to overlook some of the red flags surrounding him because of obvious reasons. I mean this with no disrespect. A school like USF, it's not every day they can get somebody with the talent that Cormani possesses. Let's make one thing clear as well. Nobody, I mean not an absolute soul out there, is knocking the talent that Cormani has. We know this young man's talented and gifted at the game of football. It's the other things about him that we've already talked about multiple times by now that has some coaches taking a step back. Your smaller schools out here aren't going to be scared to take a risk on Cormani because they have to take their approach of high risk, high reward. They don't get to pick out what 5-star recruit they want like an Alabama or Georgia. They have to work with what they got. They have to get the leftovers from all the big dogs. If we hear anything more about this, I'll keep you guys updated. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts on all this down below. But roll a minute.